This hour by Frederick Remington, fully cooked, ready-to-eat bacon. Exclusive, no refrigeration, 10-year extended shelf life bacon. The thickest, meatiest, center-cut bacon in the industry at fullycookedbacon.com.
866-295-5305. Order online at hbextract.com.
The stocks discussed on Wall Street Raw are not in any way a recommendation or solicitation to buy, sell, or hold. If considering on acting on information, we first recommend you seek out a competent, licensed professional for advice.
What kingdom has sent you?
The kingdom of the Most High.
Nothing you have ever experienced can prepare you for the unbridled carnage you're about to witness. The Super Bowl, the World Series, they don't know what pressure is. In this building, it's either kill or be killed. You make no friends in the pits and you take no prisoners. 1 minute you're up $500,000 in soybeans and the next, boom, your kids don't go to college and they've repossessed your Bentley. Are you with me?
The Genesis Communication Network is proud to bring you Wall Street Raw with nationally recognized market timer and previous Wall Street Week elf, Mark Leibovit, welcoming you on board his financial time machine. And here is the elf himself, Mark Leibovit.
Good morning. Welcome to Wall Street Raw on this great Saturday, April 7th. And it's always a pleasure having you tune in. Obviously, you have a lot of choices on a Saturday morning, and we're honored that you took the time to listen to Wall Street Raw. We do our best to try to bring you up to date on the markets, and we try to bring on board very interesting guests, many of whom I've known for many, many years, and are quite credible. So we do that every week. On the tap this week is our good friend Don VIALOUX will be joining us in a few minutes. Sinclair will be joining us. Harry Boxer will be joining us. Henry Weingarten's off in Hong Kong this week on a convention, so he won't be with us this morning. And in just a moment, we will be joining our good friend Bill Murphy from GATA, the Gold Antitrust Action Committee, one of our regular guests and sort of a hero on my part because of all the great work they've been doing for a couple of decades in exposing what's going on in gold manipulation, and frankly has been holding back gold here for the longest time. Meanwhile, as you all know, the market's been in an indigestion period. We still have risks in the market, though it's hard to say at the moment whether a bear market has begun or not. Key support or resistance levels have to come out to confirm either direction, but we are in this cyclical time frame. The old sell may go away, or we're already into April. Of course, the selling started well before this, but as we pointed out last week when we had our good friend Arch Crawford on the phone, we're talking about negative events that occur in the April period, everything from the Lincoln assassination to the Waco branch, the video ending back in 1993, the sinking of the Titanic. We go on and on. We have a whole list that's in our newsletter. If we have time later, we'll read them all off to you. But a lot of negative stuff happens in April, believe it or not. And whether that affects the stock market, that's a whole other thing. Obviously, the big talk is tariffs and the war, economic war that's broken out supposedly between China and the United States. Of course, Donald Trump is doing what he promised to do. It's my view that it's high time the U.S. took leadership and stood up against others, especially China. Of course, you know that country forces U.S. companies to sign over their intellectual property rights if they want to do business in China. To our knowledge, no country has ever done that. On TV, it is said that China's steel is only about 2% of U.S. steel imports, but that's wrong. Much of China's steel is transshipped through other countries, even countries that do not produce steel. China has a steel mill in every city just to produce jobs. They can't easily close them down when there's a production surplus, and that surplus has been dumped mostly on the U.S. And frankly, you know, we all should believe in fair trade, and there's nothing fair about that. So what's going on obviously will be resolved at some point. Whether the markets are going to have to go lower first, time will tell. And we're just watching the numbers. We talked last week that 23,400 to 24,000 range seems to be the support resistance range for the market. And we sort of took that out, and now we're trying to rally and then back down again. We're taping this particular segment on Friday, so Dow's down about 400 points, and so it may rally into the close, it may not, but we start taking out that 23,000 level, we could be 21,000 in the Dow, so that's something we all have to be aware of if we're trading long term. Well, if you look at the charts over the last 100 years, the market goes up. So at some point, it's going to go back up again. So long-termers probably can tune off the radio and TV, and they'll make money in the Dow at some point down the road. And my personal feeling is the Dow is probably hit at the 40, 50, or even 60,000 in the next 10 years. So that's a whole other discussion. Meanwhile, let's bring on Bill Murphy, who's been kind enough to sit in the green room here. And it's always a pleasure having Bill on the phone. Gold Antitrust Action Committee, him and Chris Powell have been doing a great job talking about gold manipulation, and they just came out with in early April a manipulation update. And I don't know if we have time to go over it this morning, but Bill, thank you again for joining us.
Great to be here, Mark. Thanks for having me.
It's just incredible. I mean, look what's going on in the world. Gold goes nowhere. It's obvious, but many people are hedging their positions with gold, but they hit a stone wall there, and that's because of what's going on. So bring us up to speed a little bit for listeners who may not be familiar with the Gold Antitrust Action Committee and your manipulation update, which has been going on for years.
Well, we've been at this now for nearly 20 years to expose the manipulation of the gold market by what I call the gold cartel, the bullion banks, and the U.S. government and other central banks, banks for international settlement, and it gets more obvious as we go on here just how rigged the market is. I mean, if you look at the volatility in the stock market, and then you look how gold and silver, the prices are in lockdown. Gold around 1640, 1635, and silver at 1650 and below, and it just no matter what happens, they're there. Exhibiting their control over the market. And if I may, just real quickly, I mean, the silver open interest just went to a historic high, even though the price is languishing in Nowheresville, while the gold open interest is going down. This kind of thing has never happened before, and it suggests that something is very wrong, and I think they're just very afraid about what's going on in silver, and at some point it's going to blow up. But in the meantime, as we get into my colleague Chris Powell is over in Asia, been in Singapore and Hong Kong, and delivering presentations and meeting with people, and he was on CNBC with Bernie Lowe, who's a great guy, and we're out there still trying to expose this thing to try to end it.
So why do you think the governments are so eager to do this? The obvious answer may be there, but I want to hear it from you. Why are they suppressing gold?
Well, it's been this way forever because, as Paul Volcker said, if gold is up, it's bad. Gold down is good. And it's just a barometer of U.S. financial market health that everybody sees. I mean, the gold price, if the gold price went up $100 today, that would be headlines everywhere, and they would say, what's wrong? And so what they want to do is to keep the gold price under control, and they need to keep silver under control to do that. So they keep it down because it affects interest rates and the dollar and so on, and psychology.
We also know that currencies are devalued over the century. Look what happened to the dollar and look what happened to the pound. So it's a hedge against devalued currencies, which ultimately may all go to zero.
Well, this is what, theoretically, gold should be exploding now with the dollar getting hit and with all the quantitative easing we've had these past year, all the money printing. But this is what the gold cartel does. When something should go one way, they make it go the other way. And price action makes market commentary, and it always gets justified. And there's very few people, unlike yourself, who are even willing to deal with this subject. We laugh with all this talk about China. Well, the state-controlled government and all this different stuff, and they control their press. Well, we're no different. We're in there with a punch protection team, jacking up the stock market at certain times. God is not allowed to be mentioned in the U.S. financial market press. How are we different than communist China?
They blackballed GATA. I wasn't aware of that. Not surprising.
Absolutely. I was on CNBC in New York with Ron and Sana in February of 1999 and have not been allowed on since.
Bill, we're going to be running out of time in just a second. I want to keep you for the next segment, so don't go anywhere. We have still a lot to cover here, and you saw that great update that Chris put out here just a couple of weeks ago. So I want to go over that as well. So we're talking to Bill Murphy from the Gold Antitrust Action Committee. This is really a significant story, as Bill says. The conventional press doesn't want to cover it, but here at Wall Street Raw, we're more than happy to do that. So don't touch your dial. We'll be back after the break, and Bill will stay with us. Will update us a little bit more on this ongoing gold and silver manipulation.
You're listening to Wall Street Raw with Mark Leibovit. Go to wallstreetrawradio.com for information on Mark's newsletters and products. Stay tuned. Mark will be right back.
Hear that? That's the sound of a house being trashed while a gang of thieves ransack the place. And what they don't steal will be destroyed.
This year, resolve not to be the next victim of a break-in. Go to faketv.com and discover a device that creates the illusion someone inside is watching TV, even when you're miles away. Security is a mindset, and Fake TV should be part of your security solution. Be vigilant, but not fearful. faketv.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-261-9818 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-261-9818. Again, 800-261-9818.
It's a no-brainer. A Big Berkey water filter is the one you need, period. You need a water filter that removes chlorine, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, BPA, and other endocrine disruptors, pesticides, bacteria, viruses, and much more, right? And does it all at only 2 cents per gallon. Get the original and most trusted name in gravity water filtration, Big Berkey. And now GCN listeners receive 5% off ceramic filter systems using code GCN. Call or click 1-877-99-BERKEY or BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
With uncertain times in the United States, it's only prudent to consider storing precious metals in a safe place outside of our borders. At Miles Franklin Limited, we have done just that for you. Partnered with the most respected storage company in the industry, Miles Franklin Limited is proud to offer the only fully insured private safe deposit box system in North America, held in Vancouver and Toronto. Send us your previously purchased precious metals or have one of our brokers help you purchase something new. Questions? Please call one of our experienced brokers at 866-44346. Solid foundational storage partnered with the most respected name in security. That's Miles Franklin Limited. Celebrating our 29th year in business without ever receiving a customer complaint. Call us at 866-485-4346. Again, that's 866-485-4346. Miles Franklin Limited, a name you can trust.
Anytime, any place, anywhere, radio remains the most intimate of all forms of media. At home, at work, in the car, on smartphones. Over 90% of consumers still listen to radio every week. That makes choosing radio as a place to advertise your business one of the best decisions you can make. Email advertise@gcnlive.com and up with an experienced GCN representative. Advertise at GCNlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.
Keep the change. Think big. Think positive. Never show any sign of weakness. Always go for the throat. Buy low, sell high. Fear, that's the other guy's problem.
For the financial markets. Want to know more? Go to wallstreetrawradio.com. Now, here's the elf himself, Mark Leibovit.
Welcome back to Wall Street Raw on a Saturday, April 7th, and here we are in the midst of another big market correction, and we're also a bit frustrated because those are looking for a hedge in the market would typically run to gold or bonds or some other safe haven, but gold is not responding at the moment. We have our regular and very special guest, Bill Murphy from the Gold Antitrust Action Committee, still on the line. Bill, in the minute or so we have left here, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the LBMA and perhaps the COMEX and how they are partners in this unfortunate scheme to suppress gold price.
Well, what's going on is extraordinary. The LBMA just announced that they announced the physical pricings every day, have done it forever, AM fix, PM fix, and so on, and they just announced as of this week they're only going to report now a day later. So you really don't know what's going on in the physical market that particular day, which means, firstly, what they're giving to the public now is useless. When it comes to the COMEX, all of a sudden this past year, they call this exchange for physicals are taking place in tens of thousands of contracts at a time, in which a physical market is, a physical gold or silver is being issued in replace of a paper contract. And according to my colleague Harvey Organ, it's all being transferred to London, and there is no explanation. It doesn't make any sense, first of all. It's never happened before. One or two contracts would be a big deal. The CFTC refuses to explain what's going on, and it's to keep the markets opaque and to keep the public, confused and uninformed.
If our listeners want to learn more about what you guys do, GATA.org is the place to go, GATA.org, and this is a nonprofit organization. They do accept donations, but there's great essays and copy there, and I'm sure Bill and Chris Powell would be very happy to have you join GATA. Bill, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Bill Murphy from the Gold Antitrust Action Committee. This is no fly-by-night organization, folks. Bill and Chris have been doing this for a couple decades now, and they really know their stuff. Thank you, Bill, for joining us.
Thank you, Mark. Have a good weekend.
Same to you. On the line is our good friend Don VIALOUX from EquityClock.com and TimingTheMarket.ca. Thank you again, Don, for joining us on this Saturday morning.
Thanks for having me back, Mark.
Yeah, you're following a gold manipulation story. So the GATA, I don't know if you're familiar with GATA or not, but I've been following them for a couple of decades. It's amazing what's going on in terms of the research that they've put out. Meanwhile, we have a very volatile market here, so let's talk about what's going on from the Canadian perspective.
Yeah, rather interesting week. Markets were volatile. The VIX index was elevated and probably will continue to be elevated. But the overall trend for both Canadian and U.S. markets still is on the upside. Major U.S. Canadian equity indices were flat to slightly higher last week.
Yeah, that's sort of amazing. Crude oil had a strong move, but seems to have topped out short term. But we saw some strength in the uranium sector, in particular CCJ, Cameco. I know you highlighted that in your letters. That's still in a bull phase, according to your work, right?
Yeah, just a beautiful breakout last week by CCJ, and it comes at a very important time because the period of seasonal strength for Cameco is right around now, right through until at least June of each year. So it's starting to look very interesting.
Now, you're bullish on the market because seasonally this is a time where a lot of first quarter reports come out, and usually they're positive.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Last week, the first quarter report started to dribble in. There's only about 10 companies that came out with the reports last week, but every one of them, the response to those reports were positive. I guess the best one of all was Lennar. The stock reported blowout sales and earnings, and the stock was up over 10% last week. So very encouraging start of the first quarter report season. Now, next week is going to be more important because more and more of first quarter reports will start to flow in. Particularly near the end of the week, you'll get Citigroup, Wells Fargo, and JP Morgan coming out with the results on Friday. Now, look for some pleasant surprises from the bank earnings this time around, and that should help the markets in general. Now, first quarter earnings for the S&P 500 companies are expected to increase 18.5% on a year-over-year basis.
Well, let's see how the market reacts to that, too. Obviously, we hope that it'll be beneficial, but the weight of the market right now appears to be on the tariffs. So let's, in just a few seconds, let's jump over to that subject. What's your view of what's going on with China and the U.S.? And I know Canada had its dispute as well, but Trump backed off from that. So where are we?
Yeah, lots of volatility, and that volatility is expected to continue. Historically, in the midterm election years, you start to see volatility increasing, and no surprising, it's happening a little bit earlier than you expected this year, but it certainly is happening this year.
So even though we have the short-term positive with the earnings and so forth, we're still going to run into a danger zone coming to May into the fall, correct?
That's correct. Historically, from the beginning of May right through until October, U.S. equity markets do have a downward trend, and there's a pretty good chance you're going to see that again this year. Could be an exception in the energy sector. Last week we saw the TSX Energy Index up 4%, in line with seasonal expectations. The Philadelphia Oil Service Index is up about 2%. So the seasonal play in energy continues to be very, very positive.
Okay, great. Nice summary there. Don VIALOUX from EquityClock.com and TimingTheMarket.ca. Don's always very gracious in spending a couple of minutes with us each week and updating us on his viewpoint and, of course, the Canadian viewpoint. But I would encourage you to go to EquityClock.com. Some great seasonality studies there for individual stocks and the overall market. Don, talk to you next week. Have a great weekend, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mark.
Well, great having Don on the phone, and of course Bill Murphy, one of my heroes in the industry with all the research he's done with the gold manipulation. It'd be great if Donald Trump came out there and did something dramatic with regard to the gold and silver market, the way he's doing with China and with the swamp and all the other so-called problem areas that we've had over the decades here. I mean, if they could do something to stop that, you see gold really explode to the upside. But I don't know if it's going to be politically correct with those who are in control of the gold and silver market, and particularly the banks, which unfortunately are not very excited about having a strong gold market, many of which have lent out gold. They probably can't even get their hands back on again. And we briefly touched on the subject here with regard to the COMEX with Bill just a few moments ago. But if you don't know the story, you should. I mean, basically, it's a paper market. In other words, a lot of contracts are being sold, and there's no gold physically on the other side. Those markets were originally set up, as you may or may not know, decades ago to hedge physical commodities like corn, soybeans, and so forth, and they got into the gold market. And unfortunately, big money can go in there and just hit the bid, drive prices down, but there's nothing behind it as there should be. So the manipulation is out there suppressing gold and silver for political, economic, currency reasons, and it's just an ongoing problem. So we'll see if that all changes in the decades ahead, or hopefully the months and years ahead. We don't have to wait that long for the changes. It's been very, very frustrating. Again, stay with us. We're going to have our good friend Harry Boxer and Sinclair No join us here after the break.
Go to WallStreetRawRadio.com for more information on Mark's newsletters and products. Stay tuned. Mark will be right back.
High-performance investors and traders use superior financial tools to achieve superior returns. You have that tool with Mark Leibovit, nationally renowned top market timer, legendary television Wall Street Week elf, and nightly business report market monitor, who shares with you his unique market tools and commentary at WallStreetRaw.com. At WallStreetRaw.com, Mark provides you with his latest ideas on how to help build and protect your wealth and help you avoid the next big market crash. Mark has a special free gift for listeners of his Wall Street Raw radio show. Go to WallStreetRaw.com and sign up for his free monthly Cannabis Vice News Raw report. While there, go ahead and sign up for his free monthly Gold News Raw report. Both are totally free. No credit card information is required. Sign up today for your free Cannabis Vice News Raw and Gold News Raw reports at WallStreetRaw.com. That's WallStreetRaw.com.
Warning, if you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $5,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-959-5759. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now. 1-800-959-5759. That's 1-800-959-5759. 1-800-959-5759.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-261-9818 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-261-9818. Again, 800-261-9818.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the Internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
Welcome back to Wall Street Raw. Want to know more about Wall Street Raw and the Leibovit VR newsletters? Go to wallstreetrawradio.com.
Welcome back to Wall Street Raw on the Saturday, the 7th of April. And it's been a great show up to this point with Bill Murphy and Don VIALOUX. And we have another great guest on the line for us, as we do just about every week, Harry Boxer from the TechTrader.com. Harry, it's been wild and woolly out there, and I know we're taping this interview on a Friday, but the market just seems to be trading back and forth in this 1,000-1,500 point range, and it's all seemed to be news driven. But let's get your opinion.
Well, obviously we're in a bear phase. The indices have come down 10, 12, 13% in some cases very quickly. We've had a pretty good five-wave decline, LA wave-wise, and now we're attempting to put in inverse head and shoulder bottoms. If you look at the patterns, you'll see the index has a double head, the S&P has a V-bottom head, but the bottom line is, until we get back above the 60, 66, 60, 70 zone on the index, until we get over 26, 70, 73 range on the S&P, we haven't broken out. and we can still go lower. I think the market is at a point intraday today down about 430 points that we could, if we hold them right here, right where the 50-period moving averages are on my hourly charts, then I think we could put on a nice late rally. But if we don't, they can just collapse this sucker and close them really badly and then spill over Monday. Maybe at that point you get a better, more oversold condition, because really we're not that oversold. The reason we're not oversold is the outliers consist of up, down, volume, and advanced declines. And even though the market's been lower, the advanced declines are still showing, only 2 or 3 to 1 down, and sometimes only 2 to 2. Usually when you get climactic lows, you'll get 8, 10, 12 to 1 down, and same with volume. And we're not seeing that, so the outliers haven't got extremely oversold. Now, the intraday ticks have gotten to minus 13, 1400 at some point prior, but not recently. The pullback today, for example, we have less than 1,000 tick at the worst. So right now it's at minus 54, and we may bounce in here. So there's still certain stocks that we follow that are doing great, particularly some biotech stocks. To give you a few examples, CASI was a swing I put on just a few days ago below 5, and it's trading above 7. It's up 45-50% just in less than a few days. So that's a really terrific looking chart pattern. It's called symbol CASI, and it's stock is Tassi Pharmaceuticals. It's a very, very interesting one. We've got some CRSP, CRISPR, that's a phenomenal chart pattern. And today it was updated to buy by Goldman Sachs. The stock has popped about almost 3 points in a lousy market. Dow's down 400 and some odd, and this thing's up almost 3. So there are stocks that are moving. Price Smart had a big day today. PSMT on earnings jumped 7 points. So there are times that there are stocks you can buy long in any market, but on the same vein, with the market down, the ultra shorts have moved today with the UVXY up $1.20 and the TVIX up 75 cents. Both of those are up well, TVIX is up 8% and the UVXY is up 6.5%. So we're able to get some scalps on it. But there's other stocks like certain retailers, A&F, Abercrombie & Fitch, and Macy's are really looking good and trending nicely. And in the gold sector, my favorite gold is doing great today. Keep your eye on Kirkland Lake Gold. It's the best-looking gold chart of anything I've seen out there. KL. KL is a symbol.
Yeah, unfortunately, the other gold stocks aren't moving. Only this one seems to be moving, right?
Take a look. Well, it's at the apex of a large multi-month wedge, and if the gold stocks do run, I think this will be one of the leaders. This could be an $18, $20 stock on a shorter-term basis when it pops, and a longer-term intermediate basis, I'm looking for mid-20s on it.
Wow. And real quickly, I know we talk occasionally about our one of our favorite groups, the cannabis stocks that got really hit here. There was a Barron story that came in last weekend, knocked the stuffings out of them, but they seem to be just in a big correction. Is that where we're at, in your opinion, or something more significant is happening?
I think we're acting better for a while there, particularly TWMJF, but the current breakdowns are not bullish. These look pretty bearish to me. I would avoid them until I see a distinctive turnaround with volume. And right now, for example, on TWMJF, if that gets down underneath the 19.5 3/4 range, I'd be shorting it, not buying it long.
And where's your next support if that happens?
16.5, 17.
Wow. Harry Boxer from the techtrader.com. You still offering that free 2-week trial, Harry?
That is correct. No credit card necessary. Just come on in and check us out for a couple weeks free of charge.
Okay. Go ahead and do that, folks. TheTechTrader.com. Harry, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you this time next week. Thank you.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. On the line is our very good friend Sinclair No from KFN 1510 and author of the incomparable blog EatTheBankers.com. Sinclair, thank you for being patient and joining us again this week.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Mark.
So much going on in the market here. Last week we didn't cover the Dudley comment. He was proposing some changes to combat the how way bad behavior is rewarded in the markets. What's going on there? The Fed finally realized the banks are behaving badly. We already know they put a stop on Wells Fargo. They can't expand their operation until they get their act cleaned up. What's Dudley talking about now, do you think?
Well, Dudley is leaving his position as New York Fed president. We know that. We heard this week that he will likely be replaced by John Williams, the San Francisco Federal Reserve president. And we know that the New York Fed is the one that really regulates the large banks based out of New York. And so that's the number 3 role at the Fed, and the one very much involved in regulation. So as Dudley is going out, he's saying, we really should keep a tighter rein on these guys. Okay, was he a few years ago? Don't know. But it's nice to give a parting shot as you're headed for the door.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and of course the Wells Fargo saga continues on and on, so we'll touch on that if we have time. Meanwhile, a lot of interesting stuff going on here with the Federal Deposit Insurance Corp. Apparently they could collect the largest damage reward ever against a global public accounting firm, so not only the banks that are behaving badly.
PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, and this story goes back several years, and involves a bank called Colonial Bank back in 2009. There was another auditor, Taylor Bean Whitaker, who was also involved in this. They reached a settlement. This is about a $3 billion fraud case involving fake mortgage assets, and regulators found it. The auditors apparently did not. So you're wondering, well, what are the auditors doing? What are the accountants doing in this whole process? Apparently they were looking the other way and taking a paycheck. PricewaterhouseCoopers says they want to settle for about $300 million, which would be a sizable fine against an accounting group. And the FDIC says, nah, we want about twice that amount. So they're going to figure it out and let a judge come up with the correct numbers.
We don't hear too much about this on CNBC and the conventional press as we cover that here at Wall Street Raw, and of course digging into the EatTheBankers.com column that Sinclair puts out every week. We're able to expose or at least educate you a little bit about what's going on out there. Markets are the markets, and I guess the public, unless it affects their pocketbook directly, doesn't seem to get too excited about these stories. But Sinclair and I will go over more after the break. Sinclair from KFN at 1510 Phoenix has joined us, and we're going to hear more from the EatTheBankers.com column in just a moment. Don't touch your dial.
Are listening to Wall Street Raw with Mark Leibovit. Go to wallstreetrawradio.com for information on Mark's newsletters and products. Stay tuned. Mark will be right back.
High-performance investors and traders use superior financial tools to achieve superior returns. You have that tool with Mark Leibovit, nationally renowned top market timer, legendary television Wall Street Week elf, and nightly business report market monitor, who shares with you his unique market tools and commentary at wallstreetraw.com. Here, Mark provides you with his latest ideas on how to help build and protect your wealth and help you avoid the next big market tsunami. Mark has a special free gift for listeners of his Wall Street Raw radio show. Go to wallstreetraw.com and sign up for his free monthly Cannabis Vice News Raw report. While there, go ahead and sign up for his free monthly Gold News Raw report. Both are totally free. No credit card information is required, and no one will call. Sign up today for your free Cannabis Vice News Raw report and Gold News Raw report at wallstreetraw.com.
I tried other brands, but I came back to my Sunshine.
For the best hot or cold pain relief, get the best. Get a Sunny Bay heating pad.
Sometimes life can be a pain in the neck or back or shoulder.
And the best relief for that pain is a Sunny Bay heating pad. Did you know that the American College of Physicians said that one of the best ways to treat muscle pain is heat therapy? Sunny Bay heating pads are handmade with high quality, can be used at home or at work, and have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy.
Why take another pill?
Many people use our Sunny Bay heating pads alone and got rid of the neck pain.
Long distance travel or long hours in front of a computer can take its toll on your body.
See why our homegrown small business at sunny-bay.com has tried to help people just like you. Get your Sunny Bay heating pads at sunny-bay.com. That's sunny-bay.com or call 253-678-1361 for hot and cold therapy. sunny-bay.com.
Healthcare reform is confusing, but whether it's finding an affordable insurance plan, keeping your doctor, or being able to afford needed prescriptions, navigating the healthcare system has become a challenge. Control your own healthcare costs and choices with Liberty HealthShare. Liberty HealthShare is not insurance. It is an association of self-pay patients who unite with like-minded people to share the cost of each other's medical needs. Neighbor helping neighbor. Learn more now by going to libertyoncall.org. That's libertyoncall.org.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the Internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
Frustrated trying to get business capital? Want to take the slow process and rejection out of the equation? GCNloans.com removes the slow, irritating approval process. Instead, get quick, simple funding. Powered by David Allen Capital, 80% of our pre-qualified clients are approved in days. Pre-qualify at GCNloans.com and get your money this week. It's that easy. GCNloans.com. That's GCNloans.com.
Responsibility begins and ends with our partners and our shareholders, and that's it.
There is no freedom without the law.
Get it? Got it? Good.
Welcome back to Wall Street Raw and the final segment with Mark Leibovit. Now, here's the elf himself.
Welcome back to Wall Street Raw on this Saturday, April 7th, and we're rejoining our conversation with Sinclair No from EatTheBankers.com and also a financial commentator for a couple decades at KFNN 1510 Phoenix. Sinclair, the jobs report was a bit disappointing that came out Friday morning.
A significant disappointment, I would say. 103,000 new jobs added last month. That left the unemployment rate at 4.1%. There had been expectations for around 185,000. That was pretty close to the consensus. Mm-hmm. And there were revisions to January and February numbers as well, knocking off an additional 50,000 from those 2 months. Now, we had a really strong report in February. And there's some talk that this was just a weather-related event. We had good weather in February, bad weather in March across much of the country. And so we had a strong jobs report in February and then felt the weakness in March. But we're running about 202,000 jobs averaged over the last 3 months. We're slowly but surely seeing over the past 12 months, we've ratcheted down a little bit, not significantly, but a little bit from the 12 months before that and from the 12 months before that. We're getting a little bit long in the recovery cycle here. The one thing we haven't seen any particular increase on is wages, up 0.3% in March at an annualized rate of 2.7%. Yeah, that's okay, not bad. Nothing to get upset about, nothing to get excited about, nothing that would change the Federal Reserve's thinking, I don't believe. But I think we still have slack in this market, in this labor market.
Okay. Well, a lot of people out there looking for work, and we also hear there are plenty of jobs out there, but we don't have trained individuals for that. For example, in the trucking industry, they need a lot of drivers out there, but a lot of people I'm in touch with, particularly the young guys, don't want to drive trucks and make $100,000 to $200,000 a year. They rather work at their computer. So it's a bit of a problem out there in getting the unemployed into the well-paying jobs that they need to be trained for.
Well, if every trucking job out there was 100,000 plus, it would probably attract more. But that's a job that doesn't have a real strong future when you look at the idea of driverless trucks coming onto the roads over the next 10 years or so.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
And a lot of truck drivers spend a lot of long hours and work really, really hard at a fairly dangerous job, and don't make anywhere near $100,000 a year. So, you got a lot of people out there who you can get a good job as a truck driver. I'm not saying that you can't, but it's not as easy as all that, and it's awfully tough work. And quite frankly, a lot of times it gets down to, are we willing to pay for the jobs to get done? And in many cases, that's just not the case. Also, you look over on, for example, construction. Construction's always been a good, solid job for people, but we lost so many skilled construction workers in the downturn of 06 through 09, and a lot of those people are just not coming back. They're not coming back, and we haven't trained people to become skilled tradesmen and tradeswomen to fill those positions. It's hard to find somebody who actually knows what they're doing these days in the construction trades.
The big story this week, of course, Sinclair, we can't ignore it, is, of course, the tariff controversy between the U.S. and China. And I know you spent quite a bit of time in your column talking about it. So let's sort of jump into it. We have a few minutes here. Apparently China has a pretty significant strategic advantage here with regard to the controversy with regard to the U.S. Treasury bonds they hold, and also the fact that Jinping is a lifetime president and Trump is not. So maybe they can be a lot more patient than we are giving them credit for.
A lot more patient. They have a much longer-term outlook than we. Xi Jinping is now president for life. No term limits over there. He's going to be around long after Trump is gone. He doesn't worry about the 2018 midterm elections. He may actually want to encourage a trade fight. He may believe that he can damage U.S. economic leadership around the world. And believe me, China would love nothing more than to assume that mantle. They've been working on it in Africa. They're working on it in Asia. And they got probably a gift when we stepped away from the TPP. They stepped right back in there to fill that void. So we're trying to do that, and at the same time we've got negotiations going on with Canada and Mexico regarding NAFTA. Trump takes a hard line towards China. Canada and Mexico likely going to take a hard line against the United States, figuring, and rightly so, I would say, that if there is a trade war between the U.S. and China, can the U.S. really afford a trade war with Canada and Mexico at the same time? And believe me, the Chinese would love to step up and pick up some slack from Canada and Mexico if they had that opportunity. The other point, China holds $1.17 trillion in U.S. Treasury bonds. Now, I doubt that they're going to just dump them on the market. They'd lose money at that prospect, too, but they may be willing to take a little extra pain. Trump has talked about how there may be some pain for long-term gain. He doesn't have the same long-term outlook as the Chinese, plain and simple. And if we start to see a sell-off in the Treasury market, that means higher rates to borrowers, higher rates for the government to issue debt, at the same time that the Federal Reserve is doing a little bit of quantitative tightening. Equities would just get clobbered if we see yields climb, and particularly if we see yields spike. Now, it's not all that simple. We'd also probably see a weaker dollar. That would probably help exports. So there's a little give and take in all of this. It's not an easy equation by any stretch of the imagination. Trump said, oh, trade wars are easy. No, they're not. Not at all. There is nothing easy, and there is certainly nothing safe about a trade war. And the general feeling, I would say, is you don't really want to get into a trade war. Another thing I'll toss in, the Chinese have been very clever. They're going after specific industries that are targeted in Trump land, the Midwest in particular. They're going after the farmers. They're going after soybeans. They're going after grains. They're going after certain industrial areas of the Rust Belt, if you will. They're targeting Trump supporters in this process, whereas the United States is just doing a scatter shot, if you will, against the broader Chinese economy. The Chinese are ready for this fight, I would say. Doesn't mean they really want it. There's a good chance that all this could just kind of blow over. That seems to be a little bit of the Trump style. He comes in guns a-blazing and then tends to back up a little bit.
A negotiating strategy, right?
Yeah, it really is. That's his negotiating strategy. Take hostages, make demands, and then release the hostages and negotiate a deal.
Well, if it works, that's great. So the real question is, was it worth starting to begin with? And there's been the problems with China and the steel industry and advantages with regard to intellectual property. So there was some reason to start the process. But my only quick comment.
There's no question that the Chinese have been doing bad trade deals for a long time. And the intellectual property problem, as you say, that's a significant problem. It's a real problem. Question is how best to deal with it.
Sinclair No, KFNN 1510 Phoenix. Thank you for joining us, Sinclair. We'll be back with you next week. And we close our show each week as we do, as Ed Hart used to do on the old Financial News Network when he said, as we say, we will know in the fullness of time.
Thank you for listening to Wall Street Raw with nationally recognized market timer and previous Wall Street Week Elf, Mark Leibovit. If you missed any of today's show or to get in touch with Mark, please go to wallstreetrawradio.com. Any stocks or investment discussed on Wall Street Raw are not in any way a recommendation or solicitation to buy, sell, or hold. We first recommend you seek out a licensed financial professional for advice. Go to wallstreetrawradio.com for more information on Mark's newsletters and products.
High-performance investors and traders use superior financial tools to achieve superior returns. You have that tool with Mark Leibovit, nationally renowned top market timer, legendary television Wall Street Week elf, and nightly business report market monitor, who shares with you his unique market tools and commentary at wallstreetraw.com. At wallstreetraw.com, Mark provides you with his latest ideas on how to help build and protect your wealth and help you avoid the next big market crash. Mark has a special free gift for listeners of his Wall Street Raw radio show. Go to wallstreetraw.com and sign up for his free monthly Cannabis Vice News Raw report. While there, go ahead and sign up for his free monthly Gold News Raw report. Both are totally free. No credit card information is required. Sign up today for your free Cannabis Vice News Raw and Gold News Raw reports at wallstreetraw.com. That's wallstreetraw.com.
Face it, today's electric power grid is more vulnerable than ever. From natural disasters to EMP attacks and hacking, the grid could be crippled for days or even decades in the most dire scenarios. Visit quantumharvest.net to see our built-to-last EMP-protected solar power systems. While millions suffer, you'll have vital power for water pumps, refrigeration, and sanitation. Now that's peace of mind. EMP-protected solar power systems for every need and budget. See our full range at quantumharvest.net.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX or my website, danpilla.com.